Hi and welcome to ProQual Level 6 NVQ Diploma in Occupational Health and Safety Practice. In this video, I shall explain the assessment criteria and the examples of suitable evidence which you can submit to demonstrate your competence against each assessment criterion. The Unit 1 is Promote a Positive Health and Safety Culture. In this unit, there are total 4 learning outcomes. The first 2 learning outcomes include the assessment criteria which shall measure your skill, while the third learning outcome includes the assessment criteria which are designed to measure your knowledge and understanding. The last learning outcome relates to your CPD. For all skill-based assessment criteria, you will need to submit documentary evidence from your workplace and provide a brief narrative of the evidence. That is your role in the subject activity for which you submitted an evidence. The documentary evidence of your competence can be the documents, records, pictures, and videos, etc. Remember that your submitted evidence must be valid, reliable, current, authentic, and sufficient. For knowledge-based assessment criteria, you shall need to submit a written response in your own words. Your response must be between 250 to 350 words against each assessment criterion. There are 5 assessment criteria in the first learning outcome. We shall discuss each assessment criterion in detail, so you should know what assessment criterion means and how you can demonstrate your competence against each. The first assessment criterion of this unit is provide sufficient and clear information to people in the organization about the benefits of a positive health and safety culture. In simple words, this assessment criterion is seeking evidence as follows. How do you convey your message about the benefits of a positive health and safety culture to the workforce? To meet the requirements of this skill-based criterion, you have to provide evidence of your communication regarding benefits of positive health and safety culture. In the next slides, I shall discuss what can be the suitable evidence to meet the requirements of this criterion. The suitable evidence can be a non-conformity report where the cause of the incident or non-conformity was attributed to unsafe acts or unsafe behaviors of the workers and it was communicated to the relevant work centers. The records of the training to improve OHS performance through workers' involvement and contribution. Impactful pictures or safety banners or safety notices displayed at some prominent place in the workplace which show the consequences of unsafe acts and behaviors, etc. An incident investigation report which highlights the need for positive OHS culture to eliminate the recurrence of incidents. Letters or emails sent to the functional units within the organizations in which the importance of the positive OHS culture is focused. Records of the toolbox talk regarding the benefits of OHS culture for the people and the organization. Weekly or monthly news bulletin in which the significance of OHS culture is explained. Minutes of the meeting in which the benefits of positive OHS culture were discussed. I am sure you will be able to provide the records of some of above mentioned activities. If, however, you think you cannot provide the records of any of the above, discuss with your assessor from Paradigm Qualifications who will advise you what can be suitable evidence keeping in view your organization. The assessment criterion 1.2 of Unit 1 is obtain the support of those in the organization who can promote a positive health and safety culture, tailoring own approach to meet the needs of directors, managers, employees, representatives. In simple words, the assessment criterion is seeking the evidence that how do you convince the relevant stakeholders within the organization to obtain their support in order to improve the health and safety culture. To meet the requirements of this skill-based criterion, you have to provide evidence of your communication with them in which you seek suitable support from them or evidence of any support provided by them. In the next slides, I shall discuss what can be the suitable evidence to meet the requirements of this criterion. You need to understand what support as safety professional you need from the mentioned stakeholders. When you understand the level and type of support you need due to the varied seniority and influence levels, you can obtain the support and also present the evidence of such support. For example, evidence of training budget approval from the top management, letter or email of support from relevant stakeholders, employees' involvement and participation in OHS matters, for example, hazard identification, incident reporting, compliance with safety procedures, etc. Remember, the type of evidence being displayed are only mentioned as example. There can be other evidence which you can present to demonstrate your competence that you obtained the support of relevant influential people in your organization. If you have any confusion, just discuss with the assessor who will advise you further evidence keeping in view your organizational context. The assessment criterion 1.3 of Unit 1 is use opportunities to communicate information about a positive health and safety culture. This criterion is simply asking you to submit the evidence of the following. Have you utilized any existing opportunities within your organization to convey your message regarding the positive health and safety culture? For example, meetings, training events, existing communication channels, notice boards, digital screens, company's social media platform, etc. In the next slide, I shall discuss what can be the suitable evidence. There can be a number of opportunities to create mass awareness campaigns regarding a positive health and safety culture. You have to provide the evidence as being shown on your screen. The evidence must show your involvement in the subject activity. You do not need to present all the evidence being shown, but only the ones which are applicable to your workplace. The assessment criterion 1.4 of Unit 1 is create new opportunities to communicate information about a positive health and safety culture. This assessment criterion is asking you to submit the evidence that have you created any new opportunity of information communication about a positive health and safety culture in your organization. For example, a poster on notice board or sending weekly letters to all work center showing the lessons learned from the OHS incidents, etc. In the next slide, I shall discuss what can be the suitable evidence to meet the requirements of this criterion. You have to provide the evidence of any additional activity you initiated to create the awareness about a positive health and safety culture. For example, a formal or informal training, weekly letters or emails, or any other activity which is being displayed on your screen. Just provide the evidence with a short narrative about your role in creating new opportunity. The assessment criterion 1.5 of Unit 1 is investigate ways to overcome barriers to change. This assessment criterion requires that have you identified why people do unsafe acts and display unsafe behaviors at the workplace, and what are the barriers to change? What actions do you think can overcome those barriers? Let's discuss what can be the suitable evidence to demonstrate your competence against this assessment criterion. To meet the requirements of this assessment criterion, you can provide the evidence as being displayed on your screen. Just write a short narrative regarding your involvement in the subject activity when you provide the relevant evidence. You don't need to provide the evidence for all the activities mentioned in this slide. However, they should be sufficient to demonstrate your competence against the assessment criterion. If, however, you do not have any of these records as being shown, just discuss with your assessor who will advise you a suitable evidence keeping in view the nature of your workplace. There are 4 assessment criteria in the second learning outcome. We shall discuss each assessment criterion in detail, so you should know what each assessment criterion means and how you can demonstrate your competence against each. The assessment criterion 2.1 of Unit 1 is identify the appropriate people and group with whom to develop links on health and safety matters within the organization and external to the organization. The assessment criterion requires you to provide the evidence as follows. Who do you think are the right people and groups both inside and outside of the organization to develop links with in order to improve the OHS culture of your organization? You have to demonstrate the competence that you have identified the appropriate people and groups, for example, within your organization, who are the influential people. Influential people can be the top management or directors, employees, union members, line managers and supervisors, etc. And external people and group could be membership bodies like IOSH, certification bodies, consultants, suppliers, contractors, regulatory bodies, etc. We shall discuss what can be the suitable evidence to demonstrate your competence against this criterion. To demonstrate your competence that you have identified and developed the links on health and safety matters with the appropriate people and groups both inside and outside of the organization, you need to provide any communication records with internal and external people or group which relates to health and safety. This can be your communication with OHS consultants, training providers, contractors, local fire services, regulatory bodies, supplier of equipment, certification body, or client's OHS team. Similarly, you can submit minutes of the meeting in which OHS matters were discussed with the influential person or groups within your organization. You can also provide your membership with external groups who you can seek advice regarding health and safety matters. You don't have to submit all the evidence which are being displayed on your screen, but it should be sufficient to demonstrate your competence for this criterion. The assessment criterion 2.2 of Unit 1 is provide support and assistance to the appropriate people and groups. This criterion requires you to provide the evidence as follows. How do you provide the support in terms of training, advice, or resources to the people in your organization who can improve the health and safety culture? Let's discuss what can be the suitable evidence. To demonstrate your competence that you have provided the support and assistance to the appropriate people and group, you can submit the evidence which can be a letter or an email or other communication records in which you provided support and assistance regarding health and safety matters. You have arranged and conducted the training sessions for them and you can produce a record of that. You have reviewed the effectiveness of their root cause identification or corrective preventive actions plan and provided them expert feedback. You have reviewed the effectiveness of their risk assessments and provided them expert feedback. Evidence of contractors' induction in context with health and safety. The evidence of your collaboration with the contractors. Again, remember, you don't have to submit all the evidence mentioned in this slide, but it should be sufficient to demonstrate your competence for this criterion. 2.3 is use appropriate opportunities to develop additional links with people and groups. The assessment criterion is simply asking you to submit the evidence for the following. Do you use any opportunities, for example, training events, seminars, committee meetings, safety exhibitions, etc., to develop links with health and safety professionals and groups? We shall discuss what can be the suitable evidence. To demonstrate your competence that you use appropriate opportunities to develop links with the appropriate people and group, you can submit evidence of your attendance in training events or webinars, your membership with social media health and safety groups, records of your attendance with external auditors in opening or closing meetings, records of your attendance in health and safety exhibition. You can also submit the brochures of the companies who produce health and safety related equipment, etc. Records of your meetings with clients, consultants, certification bodies, local fire services or regulatory bodies, or any other evidence which demonstrate that you develop links with suitable health and safety professionals and groups. 2.4 is plan implementation of opportunities to develop additional links with people and groups. This assessment criteria is simply asking you to provide the evidence as follows. Do you plan any future events where you can develop links with safety professionals and groups? Your evidence from assessment criterion 2.3 shall be sufficient to demonstrate your competence against this criteria. Learning outcome 3 relates to the knowledge domain. There are 6 assessment criteria in the third learning outcome. We shall discuss each criterion in detail, so you should know what assessment criterion means and how you can demonstrate your competence against each. The assessment criterion 3.1 of Unit 1 is describe the nature and role of a positive health and safety culture within the organization. The assessment criterion is designed to measure your understanding, so you must write your response for the following. What is the health and safety culture? How do we measure the health and safety culture of an organization? What are the indicators of positive health and safety culture? How OHS culture of an organization influences its OHS performance. Your written response must be between 250 to 350 words. The response must be in your own words. It should not be copied from any other source. Give suitable and relevant examples from your workplace. The assessment criterion 3.2 of Unit 1 is describe the existing health and safety culture within the organization. This assessment criterion is also designed to measure your understanding, so you must write your response for the following. Comment about the health and safety culture of your organization. What are the positive and negative aspects and how it can be improved. Your response must be between 250 to 350 words. 3.3 Identify how the organization's communication system can be utilized to promote the benefits of positive health and safety culture. This assessment criterion 2 is designed to measure your understanding, so you must write your response for the following. What is the existing communication system in your organization and how each communication method can be used to promote the benefits of a positive health and safety culture. Your response must be between 250 to 350 words. 3.4 Identify the people and groups who may be affected by the health and safety process. This assessment criterion 2 is designed to measure your understanding, so you must write your response for the following. Identify the interested parties which can foreseeably be impacted by the health and safety performance of your organization. You should also mention that how each interested party is likely to be impacted. Your response must be between 250 to 350 words. 3.5 Explain how to engage different individuals and groups in the health and safety process. In simple words, you have to provide the response. How do you consult and involve the stakeholders in the OHS management system process? Include the internal and external stakeholders and varying seniority levels while responding. The response must be between 250 to 350 words. 3.6 Explain external factors influencing a positive health and safety culture to include sources of expertise and advice on health and safety matters that are available to inform the planning and decision-making process of the organization. You have to provide the written response as follows. What external factors can influence the health and safety culture in your organization? You can consider the factors, for example, social, economic, regulatory, business competition, technological, availability of trained manpower, availability of engineering controls, certification bodies, expert consultants, etc. Learning outcome 4. Be able to maintain and record their professional development. You have to use the form L6 OHS CPD 01 continuing professional development form, which is provided in the resources section of the online portal. So far, you all must have known how NVQ qualifications are different than other qualifications, right? In NVQ qualifications, you have to submit the evidence of your competence. But what is the suitable evidence keeping in view your workplace and its context? For your understanding, just assume that a health and safety auditor is visiting your workplace and asking you to provide the evidence of the conformity. The evidence you will present to that auditor will also be valid to demonstrate your competence for NVQ qualifications. So imagine the auditor is asking the following questions from you. What documents, records or other evidence you will present them to meet the requirements of each question? Each question being displayed on your screen represents the relevant assessment criterion. For example, 1.1 is the first assessment criterion or first learning outcome of Unit 1. If the auditor asks you, how do you create awareness regarding the benefits of positive health and safety culture, then what will be your response and what documents or records will you show him? Similarly, if the auditor asks you, how do you obtain the support of influential persons to improve health and safety culture, or the auditor asks you, do you use any opportunities of existing communication system to create awareness about the health and safety culture? If yes, then provide the evidence and explain it to me. Did you create any new opportunities to communicate regarding health and safety culture? How? And provide the evidence. Do you investigate the reasons why people are reluctant to change and improve the health and safety culture? If you investigate it, then give me a brief description and provide me with the evidence and records. How did you do that? Similarly, if the auditor asks you, do you know who are the appropriate people and groups who can influence the change, and did you make connections with them? Then what will be your response and what documents or records will you show him? Do you provide support and assistance to the appropriate people so they can influence the health and safety culture? What existing opportunities have you identified and used to make connections with the relevant and influential health and safety professionals and groups? Against all these questions, you have to explain to the auditor and you have to provide the relevant evidence. Remember, when you will show the evidence to the auditor, you will also brief him the context of the submitted evidence and explain to him so the presented evidence makes more sense. You have to write the same explanation as the narrative of your submitted evidence to the assessor, so the assessor is able to understand your role and the effectiveness of the evidence against the requirements of relevant assessment criterion. For all the assessment criterion from 3.1 to 3.6, you have to demonstrate your understanding by providing the written responses in your own words. The responses must, however, be between 250 to 350 words against each assessment criterion.